What's going on, fellow web developers? My name is Tyler Potts, and in today's video we are going to be building this responsive sidebar navigation menu, which is pretty awesome. So you can see here, if we close it, it shuts down like this, and you can have it like this. So you can hover over, change your about page, go to the home page, go to any other page you want, your settings down here. You can also open it up and have it like this. You can see some animations as you do it. You can see here you have the actual arrow animate and spin round and move upwards to be in line with the logo here. Just so you can see, it just turns. It looks really cool. You've got the other animations, the hover states, the active states, and if you look closely to the text, you can see how it all fades out and slides in and slides out when you change it. Another cool feature is we're adding local storage to this to remember the user's option. So if they want it out, it stays out, and if you close it and you refresh, you can see it stays in, which is really awesome. And just to make a note, it is responsive. So if we bring this down, we open it, instead of pushing the content to the side, it actually just opens over the top, just so you can quickly have a look, and then you can show it off like a menu would on mobile. So that's what we're going to be building in this video. So I hope you're ready. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be using Vue Router to move around. We're going to be using Vite to have a really fast engine. And don't worry, don't be afraid if you've never used any of this before. I'm going to show you from scratch how to use it. It's super simple and it makes Vue development 10 times faster. And we're going to be using Google icons as well. So the material icons, and I'll show you how to get set up with that as well. So without further ado, let's get into the code. Okay guys, so I have opened up a new folder inside of Visual Studio Code, and it's just an empty folder, nothing special about it. You know, that's it. That's all I want to show you for that. So we're going to open up the integrated terminal. You can see it's a toggle terminal. It's control and apostrophe, but this probably be different on a Mac. I think it's control options, or yeah, control options T on a Mac. By default. But yeah, so now we're in our folder here. Now we're going to get started with a Vite tool. So I'm going to show you how to set up Vite. Now, if we go to the browser, you can come to this page, vitejs.dev/guide, and it can give you an overview about how you get set up with Vite. I'm going to be using this. You can see here, npm create Vite at latest. So if I copy this, so inside here, if we just run npm create Vite at latest, and then we can give it a project directory. So we can say dot, which means the current directory we're in. You could also give this a name, so let's say sidebar, and this would create a folder inside the directory you're in called sidebar and pull it all in there. But I'm just going to say dot. And then we could also give it a template, let's say Vue, like this, and that would get us set up with Vue. However, you don't have to type that. It's a lot long-winded, and it's going to ask you anyway when you hit enter. So let's try it this way. So if you hit enter, it's going to be like, hey, what's the package name? Now, this is just your package.json file. I'm going to call it package.json. I mean, it makes sense. That's what I want to use. You can see here, select a framework. So obviously, Vite isn't just used for Vue JS, but in this tutorial, we're going to be using Vue. You can even use it for vanilla JavaScript, Vue JS, React, Preact, Lit, and Svelte. And I'm pretty sure you can get a TypeScript version of all of these as well. So if I hit Vue, you can see it says select a variant. You can have Vue TypeScript or just Vue. I'm going to hit Vue, and there you go. That's it. See how fast that was? Absolutely lightning quick, and it's already set. Now, if this is your first time running a Vite, it may ask you to install a package. If it does, just hit yes. It's installing some Vite to make this quicker. And there you go. So let's just clear this. And now we need to install our package.json folder here. So to do that, we're going to say npm I or install. It's up to you which one you type out. Hit enter, and that's going to install the dependencies we need. Now, while that is installing, I want to show you the Google materials to how to get that set up. So we're going to click Git repository here, and I'm going to scroll down to this fonts.google.apis. I'm going to hit copy, just copy this whole thing. I want all of it. And then we're going to go back to our code, and we're going to go into our index.html. Now, this is the root file. This is basically where our source app is going to connect to our app. And as you can see here, title, we could name this, let's say responsive Vue sidebar. And then we want to connect our Google up right here, just like that. And let's say we want to also get some Google fonts as well. Let's just go here and let's just search for Fire Sans, the one I always use. And on the side here, you can see there's some stuff set up. We could just copy this whole link in here, copy that, move back into our code, and above the, I'm going to do above the icons. We're going to use some pre-connects to connect to Google and gstatic, and then we're going to get the font as well. If you don't want to install a font, you can use any font you want. You don't even have to use the Google material icons, although it does help. So I'm just going to save that, and now once that's all done in here, we can close this as well. You can also see our packages have been installed, which is awesome, but I want to use Sass for this project. Now guys, if you want to use CSS or anything else, you can. I just want to show you how you can install Sass, because it will be a lot easier for the styling, which we're going to be doing. So it's going to be quite a bit of styling to get that navbar working, and Sass does make it easier. So we're going to say npm-d for add -d, and then we're going to say Sass. Now normally you'd install it, but if you do add in Vite, it adds it to something, I think. I don't know, that's just what the documentation told me to do, so I'm just telling you what it told me to do. So I'm going to hit enter, and that is going to install Sass for us, and that's all we need to do to get Sass working. Now you don't have to use this, you can use anything you want. I just want to show you that working. And the next thing we want to install is going to be Vue Router. Now obviously Vue Router allows us to have pages and stuff like that. It's not installed by default. It doesn't give you the option when you install via Vite compared to the Vue CLI, but it's super simple to set up, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's just hit enter, and npm Vue Router, you can see, is now in our package file there. Perfect. The next thing we can do is we can hit npm run def, and there you go. This is the default Vue 3. I had another Surfer running on 3000, so I had to turn it off to get this to work. And there you go. So this is where we're at. You can see we can count up. So let's go in and just get some resets done. So I'm going to go into our source. This is where we're going to be doing all the work for our app inside here. We're going to remove the hello world component. It's not needed. Yeah, we're going to get an error, but that's fine. We go into our app.vue. We could delete this here. It's really awesome. We're going to delete this, and we're going to give this the lang attributes of Sass, SCSS, which is the language type we're going to be using, and that's why we need the Sass installed in our def dependencies, and this will automatically know to use that instead of the normal CSS. Another thing we want to do is inside of our source, we're going to actually, in our main, I'm going to show you how you do it in your main, and then I'm going to show you how you abstract this from your main. So we're going to set up our router now so we can route to different pages. One of the things we need is a new folder called views, and inside that we need a home.vue directory, and we could just use basic boilerplate right here for now. We can give it a main. Hello, we don't want you, excuse me, go away. We just want, there we go. We want a main tag, and I'm just going to give it the class of home, not gnome, home page. Just like that, a h1 which says home, and then said a paragraph tag underneath saying this is the home page. Save, and we're going to use that layer. We're also just going to duplicate this basically, so I'm just going to copy this, create a new, not a new folder, a new file, and we're going to call it about.vue. And then in here, we're going to paste this in. We're going to change this to about. This is going to say about. And finally, this is going to say about page. And there you go. So that's all set up with some different pages we're going to use. And then this root element is going to be where we set up all our root stuff. So I'm going to delete this setup tag for now. I'm going to keep these two in here. And in here, we're just going to delete this. Put a div with the class of app on it, just so we can target it. And then I'm just going to do here, say, or just h1 for now, and say hello world, just like that. Hit save, and that's changed on the right there. There we go. So now back in our main.js, I'm going to import in here. I'm going to do it all under here. We're going to say import, and I'm going to say create router from Vue-router, just like that. And we also want to get create history as well. So create web history, because we're going to use that to basically make sure we, well, read it there. Create a HTML5 history, most common history for a single page application. Const router is equal to create router. And then in here, we're going to have this, and we're going to say history, and we're going to set that to create web history. And that's all we need to do. And then under here, we can have our routes, which is going to be an array of objects, and we can have some different things. So we're going to have a path of /home, or just /, which is going to be our home one. And we could say our component, we could lazy load this, or we could import it. So let's just import it up here. Let's say import home from and I could just say /fuse/home.vue, or I'm pretty sure you could just do home like that. Copy this and replace that there, and that will also work as well. What's it saying here? .home. We're in the right directory, right? Does it say we can't find it? Does this file exist? It does. Yeah, look. It really does. Look, let me just show you. Did I name this right? Fuse and home.vue. Maybe we do need the .vue. Oh, cool. We do need the .vue. I don't know why. I think that might be a fight thing. I think in Vue you don't. But we learned something new, and there we go. And then we're going to create a path called about, and then we're going to lazy load. Excuse me, go away. We don't want you. We're going to then lazy load our about.vue here as well, just like that. Hit save. And now nothing's going to happen because we haven't set anything up. So we need to actually start using router by doing, after the create app, we want to say .use router, then mount it to the app like that. And that's now going to be using it. But we need a router view in our main app element here. So to do that, we're going to go down to app. We're going to delete this hello world. And we're just going to say router-view. And actually, we don't even need that. We just need it like that. Save. And you can see it now says this is the home page placed right here, which is pretty awesome. And if we now go up here and say /about, you can say it says about, this is the about page. Let's go back. Refresh, because that went back to a previous cached version. And here you are. So that is now set up. And we're going to have our sidebar above this here, which I'm going to go over in a moment. But I want to show you how you can abstract the Vue router from inside of here to its own file. So to make it a bit neater, so we'll create a folder. Again, if you're building a page which only has like 2 or 3, 4, 5, just a couple of routes, nothing much to it, doing it like this is perfectly fine. You could do it in the main.js. It means you don't have to create a whole nother folder file or anything like that. But in case you're building a big app and you need to abstract it to keep it clean, then I'm going to show you how to do that anyway. So we'll go into router and we're going to create a file in here, and I'm going to call it index.js, and then we're just going to cut all of this from there, go up here, and we'll come back to the main file, and we're going to paste it in here. Now we need to do so here because this is now no longer true. We need to go ... which means go back a directory out of router into Vue, and it's the same for this one here. And then we need to say export default, and then we're going to say router. So what we're doing in here, let me explain. We don't even need that. We don't need that semicolon. What are you doing? We're going to have a create router. We're going to import the things we need to create router from Vue router and create web history. We're then going to create a new, we're going to import our home view, and then we're going to go to our we're going to create a new router. And then what we're going to do is say the history mode is going to be create web history, and then we're going to define all our routes in here with a path and a component. Now you can do more in this, but I suggest looking at the Vue router documentation if you want to add like metadata to this and some other stuff as well, like titles and what else, like all the stuff. You could do that in here as well. I'm not going to show you for this video, but if you do want to learn about that, then let me know, and I'll do a big comprehensive Vue router video in the future, not future. And then we're going to use export default router, which is going to export our router component here we've just created. We can hit save, and then we can import it in somewhere like this. So we can say export router from /router, and now this will still work as it did. We refresh, we can then go to about, and you can see it's all working perfectly, and there you go. So that is that setup ready to go. Vue router is installed. We're all excited. You're excited. I'm excited. I'm hyper, by the way, if you couldn't tell. So that's where we're at. So we can close that file now. We can even close the home and about file, because we're not actually here to learn about the pages. We're here to make a really awesome sidebar in Vue JS. So we're going to create a component for this sidebar. So in here, we're going to say sidebar.vue, and I'm going to run Vue. Now you might be wondering, wait a second, Tyler, you just type Vue and you've got the option to Vue with default and all this other stuff here. So if I hit enter, you can see it create a template, and you're going to be like, whoa, that's a lot of code. How did you just do that? Well, I have an extension called Vueter, or Vueter by Pinewoo right here. This one, install it. It gives you all the features like this to be able to quickly template an app. Although it's currently using Vue 2 options API, we can easily update this to say setup, just like that. Hit save, and that's now using the updated version. we can go in here, and if we want to, we can delete this and just say sass like that and hit sass. We can also pass the scoped attribute to this, or is it scoped? You know what? Let me show you. This will also tell us. We go style, look for the Sass scoped or SCSS scoped, and there you go. That's how it sets up. So it's super simple, gives you a bunch of awesome tools, and hopefully they update it soon to have this setup as a default thing you can initiate instead of, because you can do it if you type in script. You can see there's a bunch. You can do it with like yeah, well, there you go. Look, a bunch of different things here. To do different types. That's TypeScript. You can do it with whatever else. But there you go. So that's what we've got set up. And now in here, we are just going to write a side, which is the sidebar tag, which is HTML semantics there for you. And then let's just do a quick test in here to say sidebar like that. Hit save. We'll leave these blank for now. Go back into our app. And now we need a script tag. So I'm just going to create a JavaScript script tag. I'm going to pass setup in here. And for those who are used to the options API, well, this just basically does a bunch of things for us. So in here, we can do something like import, and we can say sidebar from, and we can just say / components sidebar. Oh, not sidebar, just sidebar. And this is how simple it is. You don't have to export it. In Vue options, you have to return it inside of, well, even inside of the setup API, composition API, you have to return it. However, in this, we just have to type it like this, sidebar. And there you go. You can see it's now imported at the top here, which is absolutely awesome. I want to do a couple of things to start with. I'm going to create a root element here, and I'm actually going to copy some code for my actual colors. So inside of our style, I'm just going to paste in a bit of code. I'm going to close this. I'm going to minimize this sidebar, and I'm going to zoom in one as well to make it easier for you to read. Hit save, and you can see everything's styled up a little bit. But let me explain what CSS I've just added in. So I've added in this root element here, which can allow us to define some root, so document level variables. So you see we've got primary, we don't actually use that, so I can remove that. We've got grey, dark and dark alt, light, and the sidebar, that's a max width, but we could also add a min width as well. But for now, I'm just going to do sidebar width. Hit save, and that's that. I then added in some resets to remove all margin of elements, all padding, any box sizing, and also added the Fire Sans font, which we imported earlier on in Google Fonts. I then added a lighter color to our body background by adding far, and then I reset buttons to basically have no styling to start with, so they don't look weird when we start styling them. And we're going to have one more thing. We're going to need app, and we're going to have to display this as flex, which puts them side by side, as you can see, which is really nice. We can then go in here, and we don't need the flex direction column. We can actually just say main, and the main is going to allow us to say flex 110, which will stretch that out to be as big as it can be. We're going to set some default padding of 2 rem, which is going to push it out a little bit. And then, because we're actually going to have this sidebar on mobile be an absolute element which sits on top, we're basically going to just remove this. Well, this is actually going to end up sitting right to the left. So we need to do something here. We need to say at media max width 768 pixels. So on iPad and below, we want to set the padding to be 6 rem like this here. So you've got the 768 and padding rem there. So here you go. So you can see that's really far over, and the sidebar is just looking a bit weird. So that's all we need for this app.vue. By the way, this is now done. We can actually close this app. Everything else we're going to be doing is practically inside of sidebar.vue. So we're going to start off with styling this inside of here. Because it's scoped, we don't have to worry about writing something in here that's going to style something else. It's only going to style this stuff inside a template, which is great. So we could just say aside like this without having to give it a class, although a class would help. This is just simpler. We're going to display this as flex, and we're going to give it a flex direction of column because we want everything to go down. We then just want to say background color is going to be equal to one of our variables, which is going to be dark. So if we just save, you can see that's now dark. We then want to add in a color as well, a far light. So anything in it, all the text will be a whiter color, or you could just do white here by saying FFF, but I just prefer to add in a slightly dimmer color so it doesn't hurt your eyes. And then I'm just going to go back up here. I'm going to say width is equal to far sidebar width, which you're going to see is push out 300. I'm going to set overflow to hidden, so if it goes off screen, it all gets hidden, which is also going to help out with, there's a key element that helps us with the sidebar shrinking and growing. We want to set a min height here to be, let's bring this up, 100 VH. That's just going to make it the same size as our screen, so it takes up all the space we require it to. And we're just going to add a padding of 1 rem, which is equivalent to 16 pixels right now. Finally, at the bottom, I'm just going to add a transition of 0.4 like that, or 0.2 even, to make it a bit quicker and say ease out, which is going to allow it to, when we actually do the transition of this opening and closing, it's going to basically slide in and out, which will be nice. So we're then going to do a media query in here, and I'm just going to say media query max width of 768 pixels, and we're just going to say position fixed. And then we're going to say C index 99 to make sure it's on top. And there you go. You can now see that's hidden. The elements are gone. And if we stretch this out, you can see the homepage reappears. The reason the homepage has disappeared is because it's actually gone behind this bar. So if we was to delete this bar in the inspector, delete, you can see home is still there. It's just underneath it. We're actually going to have this closed by default so we can see that. So let's go in here. And we're just going to change this from being far to calc, because we're going to calculate, we're going to use some maths here to do some things. Let me show you. We're going to say calc 2 rem, which is double our padding on the left and right, because we need to do that, plus 32 pixels. Now, the reason we're doing plus 32 is that's how big our icons are going to be. So we're going to have our icon size plus the padding on either side, and that's going to give us the width of our sidebar. And there you go, that's that there. Let's go up here and just remove this for now, and we will add in the logo as a placeholder for now. So I'm just going to say dot logo, I'm going to say image, we're going to say dot slash assets slash logo dot png, it's a png, not anything else. And we'll just say view in there. Oh, and that's not loaded, that's because I have done it wrong. It should be dot slash logo, because we're currently in the components directory. And you can see that that's there, but it looks a bit ugly. Let's go style that up. So inside of the aside tag, we just want to say dot logo. And we're going to give this a margin bottom of 1 rem, which will push anything inside of it down, or anything below it down. And then we're going to add a margin bottom of width 2 rem, just like that. We don't need the height. And there you go. That now fits in our element. 2 rem is equal to 32 pixels. So we can actually change this to 2 rem, which would also make sense. I just like using the pixel value here. We could also just say 4 rem here if we really wanted to. But using the calculations means we could change this into a variable and change the width of our icons and anything else using that there. I'm not going to do that right now, but it just gives you an idea of why I'm doing it like this. And there you go. So now we've got the little sidebar there. Let's get in the actual icon to open and close the menu. So underneath our logo, let's give it a couple of spaces. We're just going to say dot menu toggle wrap. This is going to be the element around our menu toggle. We're then going to have a button with the menu toggle class. And then inside of here, we're going to have a span with the class of material-icons. Now this basically says we're going to use material icons, and we need to give the icon name inside of here. So I'm just going to show you, I know what icon I need to do, but I'm going to go and show you how you get these icons. So if we go to fonts.google.com/icons, you come to this page, and we're looking for a double chevron, a double arrow chevron thing, this thing here. So we want this one here, the keyboard double arrow. So if we click this, it shows you how you could use it with the span. That's the outlines. You can see we can change it to filled, rounded, sharp, or two-toned, but we actually only have the filled element installed because that's the one we added. So we're going to use the filled, and I'm just going to select this text right here. I could copy the whole thing. I'm just going to click this. I'm then going to go to here, and we're just going to paste that inside of here. Now, if we, open this up and reopen up this, you can see the icon is actually there. It doesn't look very good. It needs styling, but you can see it's there and it's clickable. We could also add in here a click event, which we're going to call toggle menu, just like that. And in our setup, we could just say const toggle menu is equal to, or well, it's actually going to be equal to an arrow function, which will toggle our menu. Now we're going to import something from Vue JS. We're going to import ref from Vue, and then we're going to create a new thing called menu open. What should we call it? Let's call it expanded. We're going to say is_expanded, which means our sidebar. We're going to set reference to false by default. So now in here we could just say isExpanded.value is equal to not isExpanded. So whatever it is, set it to the opposite. And that is all we need to do. And that's now going to be pulled in here. Obviously, if I click it, that does nothing. It's going to change the value, but you can't see anything happening. So inside of our side tag at the top here, we can actually bind a class element. I'm just going to use backticks here to be able to use temporary literals. And I'm just going to use this and I'm going to say is expanded. And I can just say, if it's expanded, we're going to say is-expanded. Otherwise, we're just going to pass through a default empty string there, hit save, and there you go. I believe you could do this shorthand as well by just saying and, like that, and that will basically work as well. So if you click that and let's inspect this here, you can see there it says is expanded. If we click it again, it removes it and just puts false. Yeah, so it puts false. If you use the other way of doing it, it won't put anything. It'll just leave it as empty. But the shorthand looks neater, so we're going to go for that. Now, this doesn't do anything because we need to actually add some CSS to get this to work. So let's go underneath our aside here, and before the media, let's just put in a and.is_is-expanded. And then we can add all our styling in here, which we need for it. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to give it its width to be equal to the variable we set, which is sidebar width. So if we now click this, you can see that expands, and if we click it, it closes, which is pretty cool. We then want to also go to our menu toggle wrap, and we're just going to basically say top is equal to -3 rem. Now this isn't going to do anything yet because we actually haven't styled this menu toggle wrap at all anyway. So let's go back to our side tag. Underneath the logo, we're just going to basically add in the menu toggle wrap class. So just like this, .menu toggle wrap. And in here, we can basically add a bit of styling. We can display this as flex for starters. We're then going to give it justify content flex end, which means it's always going to sit at the end of this element. So when we open it, it will sit there. Let's save this so you can see. So you can see it now sits at the end. We can then also give it a margin bottom of 1 rem because we're going to have a menu under here we need to push down. We then want to set this position equal to relative. And once we got the position equal to relative, we can add a top of 0. It's not necessary, but I like to add it there for visual purposes. And then we can say transition 0.2 seconds ease out. Like that, hit save. And now if you click, you can see that moves upwards into this gap, which means it's in line. So it no longer sits below this and looks all ugly. It sits next to it because if you just pulled that out here, it would look a bit weird. So I brought it up. That's what we did. Let's then go into our menu -toggle. And now in the menu toggle, we're going to give this a transition of 0.2 seconds ease in or ease out like that. And then we're going to get the material or the material icons, which is the class for our icon here. And we're going to set its color. Well, we're going to set its font size to be 2 rem, which is 32 pixels in this case, and our color to be light. So you can see there, that's now there. But when you have it open, you can see it does not, it's facing the wrong way. So we need to add some styling to that, which deals with it. So let's go all the way down into here, and we're going to go to menu-toggle, and we're going to pass in a transform element, and we're going to say rotate -180 degrees. Now the reason we're using minus and not just a positive is because I want it to rotate anti-clockwise instead of clockwise. So you can see there, it now spins round and it's facing the right way. which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. I want to add a hover state to this. You can see you can actually click it and it makes it a bit more clear. So inside of our menu toggle here, I'm just going to go under the material icons. I'm going to say when we hover above this, so if I hover there, you can see it's say when we hover on the menu toggle, we're going to give this the color or the material icons a color of our primary. And we're also going to say a transform translate x to be equal to 0.5 rem, which is about 8 pixels. So you can see there, that now jumps across. It seems like our transition is not working there. Oh, it's because we need the transition also on our material icon. And there you go. That's a nice little transition. And you can see once it's rotated as well, the animation works backwards and points inwards, which makes it look really nice. So that's that done. Now let's actually add in our menu underneath. So we want to go under here and we want to add in a H3 to start with. We're just going to say menu, just to identify that it is a menu, especially for those screen readers. And then we can have a .menu class. And then we want to add a router hyphen link with the class of button. And we want to do this about 4 times. So we're just going to say 4. And there you go. We have 4 router links with the class of buttons. I'm going to add in a 2 to all of these. So we're going to say 2. And we're just going to say slash for now. And now in the first one, we're going to say home. Well, actually, that's incorrect. Let's break that down. We're actually going to, you know what? I just realized this is, let's close all of that. We want a couple of things. We want a, well, there you go. We want a span with the material icons of home, which is going to give us a home icon. And then we want to give it a span with the class of text equal, with the class of text, so we can target this span specifically there. Now we can copy this and paste it again. And we can change this to, let's say, document, which is just one of the icons I'm using. And this is going to say about, and this one is going to go to / about, just like that. So let's leave that here. And you can see we have 2 things here. It looks a bit ugly, but we'll deal with that in a second. So if I hit about, you can see it changed to about, and home takes us back. Now I'm going to duplicate this 2 more times, just so we have some elements. I'm just going to leave these at home. And this one will say our team. This one will be group, and this one will say team, and this one, what is it? Email, and this one will say contact us. So hit save, refresh, and you can see there. The only one that's not working is about. Let's have a look for an icon for about. So here we can see a description. I think that's what we want. Should we just do the eye? I like the eye. Let's do the eye. The eye looks cooler. I had it different in the actual the demo, but we're going to use the eye. You can choose any icon you want, by the way. These are just the ones I'm choosing. And there you go. You got the about, which is the eye now. It looks cool, but it looks really ugly. So if we open this out, you can see it's all broken. It doesn't look very good. So let's go and style our menu to start with. So let's go in here underneath our menu toggle wrap. We're going to say .menu. Now the menu is going to be styled with a negative margin, which the reason we're doing this is because we want to add the padding to the actual element and not on the outside. I'll remove this and show you what it means later. We also need to style our H3 and our button hyphen or button.text as well. Now we're going to go in here, we're going to say opacity 0 because we don't want to be able to see the menu or the text when we're not expanded. We're then going to say transition is going to be equal to 0.3 seconds, so 0.2 second from the actual pulling out of the actual menu. And we just want to say ease out like that. We can then copy this, pull it inside of our is expanded. And I'm just going to remove the transition and set the opacity to 1. And there you go. So now when we close it, you can see the text is now gone and it's back. Just like that. But it looks a bit broken still. So let's go back to our menu. We're then going to get our button inside of our menu and we're going to give this the display of flex. We're going to give this the align item center and we're going to just say text decoration none. So if we save, you can see that's looking a bit better now. It's looking, everything's in line instead of on or right next to each other. we're going to give this a padding of 0.5 rem to 1 rem, which is going to basically be the padding to the left and right. And there you go. You see it now lines up with this element here. And then finally, we can, underneath the padding, we can give it a transition of 0.2 or, yeah, 0.2 ease out. We can then set the material icons to have a font size of 2 rem, which is going to be 32 pixels. We can then also give it a color of light, far-light. And another transition on this, so when we hover over it, we can have a state of 0.2 seconds ease out as well. And there you go. So that's the icon styled. We then want to get our text, and we just want to really give this the color of far light. We then want to give it a transition as well. We can copy this transition. I could have probably added this transition to everything just to save time of rewriting it out, and it would make it more dry, but also there's certain elements we only want to animate, not everything. So there we go. And then underneath this, we can say button on hover. We're basically just going to say the background color is going to be equal to far dark alt, which is the alternate dark color we set. We're then going to get the material icons and the text, and we're going to set the color to be far primary. So when we're hovering over them, you can see here that now looks a lot better. We're also going to give this a margin right of 1 rem, like that, just to give it some space away from it there. Well, actually, no, you know what, we're going to take this away, and we're going to go down to our is expanded underneath this H3, and we're going to set the menu. And inside of our menu, we just want to say, well, actually, no, we could just say button. This doesn't have to be the menu. Say our button, and our material icons need to have the margin right of 1 rem. So now when we close this and we open it, you can see it has a sliding animation, like it's pulling itself in as well. And there you go, that's the base elements all set out there. It's looking pretty good. Let's add some more styling to this. Let's style this menu tag and a few other things as well. So we want to go up to above our menu, just under this, and we're going to say H3. We're going to give it a color of far gray. We're going to give it a font size, and we want this to be slightly smaller. So it's a 0.875 rem, which is about 14 pixels. And I'm going to give this a margin bottom of 0.5 rem, and a text transform of uppercase, so it's all capital. And there you go. That's the menu there. It looks pretty cool. It's a nice little subtitle that you can see, but it's not too intrusive. So it's out in and out of the way. The next thing is when we click on a page, you can see it's not highlighting that page. It highlights when we hover, but not when we're on it. So we need to basically add in another class. Now, if we inspect this here, you can see it's actually added some classes. You can see the router link is active, or we can get router link exact active. Now, the difference between router link active and router link exact active is router link active will find anything. So let's say this was / about, it would be on the about page, but it also be referencing the home page, or if we had about / child of about, it would then be referencing the about page still as well via the non-exact method, so the router link active, but router link exact will only be on the exact link here in the href. So that's why we're doing that there. So you can see that. So let's go to our menu, and in our button, we just want to say underneath all of this, under hover, well, actually, we can actually go here and say, and this class. Now, save, and that should hopefully, when we're on the home page, oh, we also need to add it after this. So we need to say, and material icons. So we're going to go here, we're going to say, when we just have the router active, we want to say border right 5 pixels solid and far primary. Hit save. refresh, and for some reason it's not working. Now why? Router link exact active, that should be right. Oh, you can see here we need to use the and I also need to do and there as well. Hit save, refresh, and it's kind of worked. Oh, I did that, save. Okay, so that's kind of working, except you can see everything is highlighted except the about page. If we select the about page, it then works. Oh, and guys, I've just realized why it's highlighting every single one. It's because inside of our sidebar, we have them all set to this /. So we just need to change these ones to say something else. Let's just say we can have team, and then the one below is going to be contact. Hit save, and there you go. They're no longer highlighted. I can't believe that took me a minute to figure out. But there you go. So you can see we can hover, and these have little animation to actually bring them. If you click on these, because they don't actually exist in our router, they actually just throw errors in the console here saying there's no match for it. So just so you know, that's what happened. If we shut this as well, now we go home, you can see it's home page. We swap, it says about. But you can obviously see that's on mobile. If we now make this bigger, so if we bring this out, and let's just slam it to the top, and we open this, you can see instead of obviously this being behind it, it's now to the side of it, and we can show it and it will follow it exactly, which is really nice and it looks really cool when we have it both ways. So another thing is we have a settings button at the bottom here. Now how do we get a button from up here to the bottom? Well, we actually added the class to this called flex, which allows us to push things around. So if we was to copy this menu and this router tag, go under here, I'm going to add a class called flex, but then under this, I'm going to have in the menu, which we're then going to set to settings, settings, and this is going to say settings, just like that. And now we refresh, you can see this settings is there, but it's underneath them. Now, how do we move it down? So we're going to do that by going into our CSS, scrolling right down to, let's say, below, well, you know, we can do it at the top here, just under here, we can say a dot flex element is going to have flex 1, 1, 0 to push it all the way. And there you go, you can see that's pushed it down to the bottom now, it's down here. So that's how we can move elements straight to the bottom and give some spacing in between. And there you go, so that's flexed out, you can swap to home. And now the menu you can see works really nice. Everything pulls out and that's there. Now there's one last thing. If I refresh this page, you can see it goes back. If I refresh again, it goes back. Now how do we add local storage to this to remember the choice we make? So if we want it open and we refresh, we want it to stay open just for the user experience. So that's super simple. Inside of here, we're going to change this ref false to be ref local storage.getItem, and we're going to get is underscore expanded, and then we're going to check if it's equal to true. If it's equal to true, then this is going to return true. Otherwise, if it gets anything else like null or undefined, it's going to say, or even false, it's going to say it's false. Now to set this, when we toggle the menu, all we have to do is underneath this, we can say local storage.setItem is expanded.value, and that's going to save the state of our thing. So we refresh and we click this and we refresh, you can see it's now saved that it's open. If I keep refreshing, it's always saved. If I shut it and refresh again, you can see it's now saved in the shut state. So that will always remember what you're doing. Unless you clear your local storage, it will always remember what that is. And that is it for this tutorial, guys. It's super dead simple, super straightforward, and as you can see, it's pretty awesome to create this super simple mobile responsive as well. So if we move this to the right side and we just do this, you can see it works on mobile and it doesn't push the content to the side and break it. It goes above it. Let's say we go to the iPad Air, you can see the menu still works, and if we go to the long mode, it's looking good as well. If we go to the iPad Mini, you can see it goes over above it because it hits that threshold of 768, because I'm pretty sure the content would be way too small in this side if you didn't. But you can see there how it's all working, how it would work. Now there'll be probably some extra challenges you need to think about when you actually create more content in here, but otherwise this would work flawlessly, and you'll just have to make a few tweaks when you actually add content to these pages. But otherwise, it depends on what content you actually add, so you can't really cater for every scenario. But as you can see, that is what we've been built today. I hope you have learned a bunch of cool things with Vue JS. If you have, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps out my channel and I really do appreciate it. If you're new around here and you do want to see more, consider smashing that subscribe button, joining my awesome community of developers and learning with us. I'm still learning myself, to be fair. I just make it up as I go along. I come up with an idea, I'm like, I'm going to record that video, and we do it. And that's how we create these cool videos. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of that. Leave a comment down below. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Or if you have a big issue, you've got some errors and you need them fixing, hop into my Discord server. There's a lot of friendly people around who can help you, help you with anything basically. They'll just come along, they'll be like, yo, what's up, man? Or I might even help you myself. Try not to tag me though, a lot of people keep tagging me. And I can see all your messages, I get notifications anyway, so tagging me just, adds salt to my wound. But yeah, I will try and help you, or other people will help you with this questions or any questions you have. So guys, feel free to hop in the Discord server, get along with the community, it's pretty awesome. And finally, thank you all for watching this video, and peace out.